Thank you.
A Martine original.
Welcome, everyone. Before we get started with tonight's meeting, I want to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and homeland of the Métis Nation. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. And do we have any amendments to the agenda? Don't see any, so we'll just fly by that one. And moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Ray, that we accept the regular council meeting agenda as presented. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Bellemare and seconded by Councillor Sobering, be it resolved that we waive the reading and accept and approve as circulated the minutes of the following meeting, and that's our regular council meeting from February the 26th of 2024. Questions or comments? Any issues with those minutes as they're presented? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, call that motion carried as well. And moved by Councillor Bellemare and seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Be it resolved that we accept as information a poetry reading from Martine Van Loon. All in favor? Oh, I see some opposition here. Motion is carried, and I turn the floor over to you, Martine.
Okay.
Take it away.
Did I put this? Can everybody hear me? Okay, perfect. So to say I was voluntold is maybe a little bit much, but because I love doing it. But anyway, it seems to be that I'm the designated reader for the city of Dauphin when it comes to poetry or writing or whatnot. But it is National Poetry Day soon, and then it's Poetry Month next month. So I love poetry, so I'm glad to come and read some poems. I get 3 short poems for you today. One of them I wrote myself on the night before Christmas, or actually 2 days before Christmas. One by Maya Angelou, which is very well known by everybody. It's a very famous poem, and one by Shel Silverstein. I'll tell you a little bit more about that right away. So the first poem is called Christmas Eve, and it's my reaction to the overindulgence of buying stuff before Christmas. And it's about an old man who works in Santa's workshop. Finally home, it's been a day full of doodads and thingies and screws and solders and clanks and boings. The work in the workshop is never done, but especially now it's busier than ever and they have yet to wrap. He lives alone and it's Christmas Eve. It's the eve before Christmas, and tomorrow he will celebrate with hot chocolate and candy canes from the boss. The next poem is Still I Rise, which is a very famous poem by Maya Angelou, and it is about perseverance. It's of course her ode to slavery, but it also speaks about that you need to fight for things and you need to persevere. And for me, that rings home to our community as well, when we have to sometimes go the extra mile and don't take anything for granted and just go for it and maybe brag a little bit about it too. So, still I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may rot in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with uncertainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meaning of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that is rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into the daybreak that is wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. And I thought I'll end on a funny note, because there's lots of humor in poetry as well. So Shel Silverstein, which is probably known by most of us, is sort of that elementary school oration. Remember standing on stage having to read a poem for the rest of the school. Many kids nowadays pick poems from Shel Silverstein. This reminds me of my own children. Whosever room this is should be ashamed. His underwear is hanging on the lamp. His raincoat is there in the overstuffed chair, and the chair is becoming quite mucky and damp. His workbook is wedged in the window. His sweater's been thrown on the floor. His scarf and one ski are beneath the TV, and his pants have been carelessly hung on a door. His books are all jammed in a closet. His vest has been left in the hall. The lizard named Ed is asleep in his bed, and his smelly old sock has been stuck to the wall. Whosever room this is should be ashamed. Donald or Robert or Willie or... Huh? You say it's mine? Oh dear, I knew it looked familiar. Thanks.
For that, any questions for our designated poet laureate? No? Thanks, Martijn. And we will acknowledge that it's Poetry Month. It's coming up. So we'll move into the next item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda, item number 5. And then we have one action item, and that's actually the proclamation for World Poetry Day. I'd like to call on Councillor Bellemare for that, please.
Okay. I was just thinking this reads like a proclamation and not a poem, so I'm not sure how I can make it more poem-like. Whereas we recognize the cultural importance of language and literacy as the primary means of conveying knowledge, and whereas we agree that literature is defined as words raised to an art form, and whereas we acknowledge that poetry is among the oldest forms of literature and that aims to express humankind's greatest hopes, fears, loves, and dreams. And whereas we understand that literacy is nurtured by the sharing and promotion of all forms of literature, including poetry reading at council, and whereas the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, has declared observance of World Poetry Day on March 21st every year, and whereas we encourage our citizens to enrich themselves through partaking in all forms of culture, we support the idea of promoting literature and specifically poetry in our community. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim March 21st, 2024 as World Poetry Day and April 24th as National Mayor Bosiak.
Thank you for that. We've got 2 other items under the consent agenda, and there are filing items from Prairie Mountain Health. We received their Health Plus newsletter from March, and the Community Futures Parkland newsletter also for March, and those are recommended by the city manager and myself. The next agenda item, moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, be resolved that all items listed in red under item 5, the consent agenda, be approved and form part of these minutes. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Daly, be resolved that Council accepts as information the corporate report for the March 11th meeting, and that's our city manager's report for February. Charlotte, any specific things you'd like to highlight?
I think there's one thing I would like to highlight, and so in February it was one of our quarterly meetings of the airport board, and I attended that. And I just wanted to highlight something about winter maintenance at the airport, because we've had a couple snowstorms recently, and I know that the second one was in March, but this is something that we've been dealing with. I think there was a January storm as well, and some snow in March. So when there is snowfall, the airport does take some time to clear the runway, and primarily the traffic that happens right now is for Prairie Mountain Health, and it's either emergency services or patient transfers from Dauphin to Winnipeg and back. So in the event of a big snowstorm, the first thing that the airport manager does is clear the way into the airport to the terminal building. He clears the apron, so it's a spot for the STARS helicopter to land, and he clears in front of the fuel tanks, because if STARS comes here, they have to refuel so that they can make it back to Winnipeg. So in the event of a storm, we, in a very quick turnaround, probably half a day or less, are able to do that, so that there are still emergency services, emergency air services that can happen between Dauphin and Winnipeg. Thank you.
And appreciate that detail, because we did receive several calls from representatives of Prairie Mountain Health, mostly dealing with patient transfers and not emergency. But there were some, I'll call them complaints to the city that, it was the day after the storm and it still wasn't cleared. And I think Charlotte did indicate or have the discussion with the PMH reps that the emergency service is available, the helicopter pad, and that we get to it as quickly as we can get to it. And unless they wanted to pay extra to assist us in getting it done immediately, then it will be done accordingly as opposed to immediately. And that's where it was left. There wasn't any further follow-up, but I know I was looped into that conversation and well represented by Charlotte's information. Any other questions? Councillor Bellemare?
Thank you. A couple of the reports referred to the new daycare that we're getting, and it's just gone to architect now. But can you give us an approximate timeline of what we're looking at for completion?
Sure. So right now, with the architect that we've hired, and that includes them putting together the tender documents for construction, and then also construction, the date to complete and for occupancy is March 31st, 2025.
Wow, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Call for the question then to accept the report from the city manager. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be resolved that we accept this information, the corporate report from the deputy city manager. Lisa, is there anything you wanted to highlight in your report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Boziak. I would like to highlight one of the items on my report, and that is that I'm happy to report that we have reached the community engagement phase of our community safety and wellbeing plan process. And I've been working on preparing the rollout of our community safety and wellbeing survey. The survey was launched today, and the rollout includes a press release, Herald and CKDM advertising. We have it on the City of Dauphin webpage, with a dedicated community safety and wellbeing plan page with the survey link. We have an email blast that went out today. It's on the digital kiosk at City Hall. And we have posters with the survey link and QR code posted throughout the community. We also have paper copies that are available at 7 locations throughout the city. City Hall, Dauphin Public Library, Dauphin Friendship Center, Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal Corporation Community Center, Dauphin Active Living Center, Kinsman Aquatic Center, and Credit Union Place. So we really hope that people will take the time to take the 15 or 20 minutes to fill out the survey, let us know how they're feeling about crime, safety, and well-being in Dauphin. This will be a really important component in our data collection for the community and safety and well-being plan. Also, please spread the word, share our social media posts, share the link share it with everyone that you know, and let's hope that we can get this survey out as far and wide as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Questions or comments for the Deputy City Manager? Call for the question then. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, be resolved that the finance accounts, having been examined by council, be hereby authorized and approved as follows. We had 73 checks in our recent run, totaling $383,155.06. There were no voided checks in the current range nor in the past range, and we had 6 electronic payments in the month of February for $266,846.77. Questions or comments regarding these numbers? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray, be resolved that we accept as information the unaudited financial statements before PSAB adjustments for the period ending December 31st, 2023. And those include the general fund highlights of the variances, the general fund balance sheet and income statement, utility fund highlights of variances, and the utility fund balance sheet and income statement. Questions or comments regarding these reports? I'd just like to acknowledge the work that goes into the preparation of these reports. I did have some questions as I was going through some of the number pages, and then the 8-page summary basically highlighted every specific question I had. So hats off to Scott and the staff and everyone that was involved in preparing that information. I just would like to, put it on the public record that I think we're very well, we're very well managed in the sense of our financial accounting and the controls that are in place. And the detail that went into this reports, and I know that we attended a meeting last Monday with the Finance and Audit Committee. And again, every question was answered very specifically, and the amount of work that went into the preparing of the documents, I think, is, it's a reflection of the professionalism we have in-house here administratively. Call for the question then. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be it resolved that we accept as information the reserve report for the period ending December 31st, 2023. Any questions or comments regarding the reserve report? I'll call for the question then. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be resolved that Council accepts as information the analysis of the 2023 reserve balance. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? None. Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be resolved that Council accepts as information the analysis of the 2023 water sales report. Questions or comments? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that Council accepts as information the memorandum from the Director of Finance dated March 8th regarding the City of Dauphin's 2023 financial analysis, which is the unaudited before PSAB adjustments for the period ending December 31st, 2023. Councillor Bellemare.
Thank you. You already mentioned that it was 8 pages of detail, which was great because as a non-accountant, it was easy to follow and very clear what was going on. This question is actually about water treatment. He made a comment about how the prices or the costs at the water treatment plant were based on the water. He talked about better raw water. So can you just explain a little bit about how prices impacted by the water coming in?
Certainly. So the City of Dauphin draws from 2 different types of water. One is from Edwards Creek that runs right past the water treatment plant. It comes from Rocky Mountain National Park. And there's a small reservoir and it goes directly into the water treatment plant. The second one is through the Vermilion Reservoir, which is a dammed up piece of the Vermilion River. and then there's a pipe that it draws from that standing water to our treatment plant into a small reservoir and then through the plant. So depending on the time of year and how much is coming from either source, we can draw from both. Things that could affect how we have to treat the water would be how much dissolved solids, how much mud is in it, how much organics are in it from runoff from fields or just green matter, that kind of thing. So every day, multiple times a day, the raw water is tested and it's determined what does the water need, what kind of chemicals and what kind of processes does it need to be able to meet the output standards that's set by the Office of Drinking Water, and our plant operators the water goes through all of the processes, and it's just a matter of how much of each chemical that they put in and how long it might sit so that it comes out and all treated. So sometimes it's nice crystal clear water, and sometimes it's a little muddy and whatnot, and we clean it out and clean it up, and it turns out good.
Just further, it always amazes me the amount of effort that's put to produce the water that we drink in town, and then all the testing that takes place after. And this is Kathy's rant, but it drives me crazy that people drink bottled water, which has tons of nanoplastics in there, when we have water that's tested to death and is very high quality. Thank you.
So part of the financial analysis to the end of December 2023 is the report of where were we? Do we have a deficit or do we have a surplus? So in our general revenue or general accounts, we do have a surplus, $433,356.25. Most of that came from some projects that didn't get done. And that was whether it had to do with the weather, timing in the year, or our available workforce. We did have a deficit in our utility fund, so in the water and wastewater end of it. So it's a deficit of $94,633.67. And a lot of that has to do with the increase in price that we had not forecasted from when we were doing the 2023 budget. The Director of Finance has already contacted the Public Utilities Board. Anytime that there is a deficit of any kind, we do need to contact the Public Utilities Board and report the deficit. And right now we have a utility rate study that is being considered by the Public Utilities Board. And so, of course, the rates that we charge on the revenue side, and then the things that we have to do to keep up with what we have to pay. Two sides, we try to get to balance as much as possible, and it's really hard. You can't find a sale. You cannot find a sale on chemicals for the treatment plant or anything like that. So we do have to raise funds, and so we're looking to see how much we can raise, how much we would need to raise to make sure that we don't get deficits, and the utility board is looking at that right now.
Thanks, Charlene. Any other questions or comments from any member of council? No. Okay, then call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Sobering, be resolved that we accept as information the 2023 Councillor Compensation Report as required by the Public Sector Compensation Disclosure Act. Anyone want to talk about this or have questions or comments regarding it? I'd just like to add for the public record that it's detailed. Just assume that, if we go for lunch somewhere that somebody pays for it, and they do, and then it's duly noted. And so again, hats off to our finance department for keeping track of every nickel and dime that gets spent. Call for the question then. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the following engineering report, and that's from the Director of Public Works and Operations for the month of February. Any questions or comments regarding the report? Councillor Bellemare.
My question is this: what can we expect in the south end in terms of blockages during construction? So I guess I thought once they moved in, it was going to be chaos down there, and it isn't. They're doing lots of great stuff on the side, but it is going to be chaos at some point. So what's the timeline for that?
So I think that the goal is to reduce the amount of chaos as possible. So right now we've got the crews there's two separate crews. One crew is working on the drainage, and so that's basically the drainage ponds, putting in the underground pipes, so that when the spring runoff comes, which seems like it's almost here, that the water has some place to go. And then secondly, there's the addition of the service roads, and then the reworking of the main alignment or the main street that we know right now, and introduction of a new signalized intersection that's physically going to be actually moving a little bit to the south. So with the creation of the service roads, the plan, as I know it, is to move traffic onto those service roads so that there's still north-south access and into the respective businesses. Might be a little bit tougher to go from the east side to the west side and vice versa, but still be accessed off the service roads, and that will allow the equipment to get onto the main road and work as efficiently as possible without having to deal with a lot of traffic. So that would minimize the time. In terms of what months will that happen, I'm not sure, but we can expect construction for most of the 2024 year, or at least up until the end of the construction season.
And there is a little bit of a segue between the work that's being done now, which is primarily drainage related, and then the work at the tail end, which is mostly transportation or road construction. So that's where that might be different.
Okay, and of course they're aware of the summer games, so.
They are aware of Summer Games and the Ukrainian Festival and Country Fest. Yeah, you betcha.
And again, just for public information as well, I was talking with the manager of Public Works today, and again, there's been some comments from certain people because of the work at night, and he explained that the real reason for that is because of the inability to control temperature, that some doing the work during the day, it gets too sloppy, too messy, vehicles are getting stuck. And so they're trying to do the majority of the work at a time when actually they prefer temperatures that aren't quite warm-ish because it keeps the working conditions more efficient. So it was just not a decision that we're going to go at night just because, or it's in the daytime because. There's very specific reasons, and unfortunately some taxpayers and ratepayers are adversely affected for a short period of time, and there's just no ability to control for that. So just wanted to mention that as well. Questions? Any other questions or comments regarding Mike's report? All then in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Daly, that we accept as information the engineering staff report for our meeting from the building inspector, and that's for February. Questions or comments regarding the building inspector's report? And again, just of note, what was interesting is the $2.7 million permit that was listed as a provincial permit, the Fire Commissioner's Office for work at the 11th Avenue Hall, and that's for the construction of a new 30-space daycare in the basement of that hall. So that work has been permitted, and we'll see how that progresses over the next little bit. Call for the question then. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Sobering, that Council accepts as information the Protective Services report from the March 11th, for our March 11th meeting, and that's from the Bylaw Enforcement Officer. Questions or comments regarding the report from the bylaw enforcement? All in favor then? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Daly and seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, be it resolved that council accepts as information the minutes and reports from the following committees. So we had 4 regular board meeting reports, November 21, December 12th, January 16th, and February 13th for the Dauphin and District Handy Van. We had the regular board meeting of January of the Dauphin and District Allied Arts Council, the regular board meeting of February from the Parkland Regional Library, and from the Dauphin Public Library for their February meeting. We have information from Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal, their regular board meeting of February 21st, their Executive Director's report for January, and their Housing and Homelessness report for January, February. We had the regular board meeting minutes from February of the Dauphin Rec Services, and the regular board meeting March 1st from Dauphin Vet Services. Questions or comments or any information from any member of council who sits on these committees regarding these reports? Yeah, Councillor
Okay.
Bellamere.
Sorry, I was just waiting to see if someone else asked a question. For the Vet Services Board, they talked about a municipal spray and neuter program, and it sounded like it was not this municipality, but a provincial spay and neuter.
Councillor Daly can answer that question.
I can, so, no, it's for every member of the board went back to their municipality to try to get approval for the same cost adjustment, or the payback, I guess, or for spay neutering program, so that we would all be at the same. So that Gilbert Plains or Winnipegosis or Dauphin has the same, I think we're looking at 50% rebate for spay neuter, up to $175 for dogs, larger dogs. So everybody's pretty excited about it and have just one cost everywhere.
And just to support what Councillor Daly said, he's done a pretty decent job, very short order, of managing all of the various capacities that fall into being on the Vet Services Board. And I know he's been working with the Deputy City Manager on some issues related to information that's been shared with us from concerned citizens and organizations about the dog and cat problems or issues in our community. And so I think we're in good hands with Lisa and Randy working on that file right now. And I think there'll be some information forthcoming in the next little while about some of the ideas and suggestions from that area. So any other questions or comments regarding any of these organizations or their minutes? If none, call for the question then. All those in favor of accepting? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated February 27th from Brenda Gregory, President and Secretary Howard Wirch, Vice President of Dauphin Derailers, requesting financial support from the city and the Dauphin in the amount of $20,000 to assist with general operational expenses, including bear-proof trash and recycling receptacles at the trailhead and development of camping RV spots at the trailhead close to the cabin area. Further, be resolved that council forwards the funding request from the derailers to the City of Dauphin's 2024 budget deliberations for consideration. Questions or comments? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated February 27th from Steve Reynolds, the Executive Director of Regional Connections, Inc., requesting financial support from the city in the amount of $10,000 to assist the community-specific services, including community cultural events, language classes for newcomers who are not yet permanent residents, and facility rental for recreation activities and distribution of Dauphin's new resident package. And further, we resolve that council forwards this request from Regional Connections to the City of Dauphin's 2024 budget deliberations for consideration. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Counselor Sobring, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated March 6th from Allison Moss, Director of the Dauphin Public Library, outlining the library's 2024 budget estimates as approved by the Library Board of Trustees. Further be resolved that council accepts as information the correspondence dated March 6th from Ms. Moss requesting a 2024 appropriation of $19,064.75 quarterly, and further be resolved that council forwards the funding request from the public library to the city's 2024 budget deliberations. Questions or comments? All in favor of that motion? Anyone opposed to it? Seeing none? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be as resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated February 27th from Allison Moss, who is also the Director of the Parkland Regional Library, outlining the library's 2024 budget estimates as approved by their Library Board of Trustees. Further be resolved, the council accepts as information this correspondence requesting a 2024 appropriation of $19,330.08 quarterly, and further be resolved that council forwards this request to the city's 2024 budget deliberations. Questions or comments? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Sobring, whereas the Dauphin Adventure Fund provides assistance to organizations involved in the planning, execution, and hosting of regional, provincial, national, and international events within the city and the rural municipality of Dauphin. And whereas the Sport Tourism Subcommittee administers the allocation of adventure funds and funding requests exceeding $5,000 require approval by council, be it resolved that council accepts as information a memo dated March 5th from the ECDEV manager recommending that the following Dauphin Adventure Fund funding requests be endorsed by the Sport Tourism Subcommittee at their meeting of February 28th be approved. And those are the 2024 Manitoba Summer Games Host Society's application for $25,000 in funding to support the Summer Games, which is August 11th to 17th, and Dauphin Rec Services application for $7,500 funding to host the Mazer Group Professional Bull Riding event, which is on May the 24th. Further be resolved that council agrees with the ECDEV manager's recommendation and approves the release of $25,000 for the Manitoba Summer Games and $7,500 for the Mazer Group Bull Riding event from the Dauphin Adventure Fund. Questions or comments regarding this resolution? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Whereas the Parkland Youth Rugby Association plays a vital role in promoting physical activity and teamwork by helping to make rugby an integral part of the recreational landscape in Dauphin, be resolved that council accepts as information a request from Becky McGregor, representing the Parkland Youth Rugby Association, for a letter supporting their grant application to the Dauphin and District Community Foundation for funding to purchase a scoreboard for the Dauphin rugby field, which would provide a valuable tool for tracking game progress, fostering healthy competition, and celebrating the achievements of players and teams. Further, we resolve that council values the positive impact of sport and recreation for youth in Dauphin and the surrounding area and authorizes a letter supporting the Youth Rugby Association in their grant application to the foundation for funding to purchase the scoreboard at the rugby field. Questions or comments regarding this request? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Ray. Whereas the Dauphin District Allied Arts Council plays a vital role in fostering arts, culture, and heritage in our community by providing diverse and vibrant cultural, social, and entertainment offerings at the Watson Arts Centre. And whereas with interior arts center temperatures reaching 28 to 30 degrees Celsius in the summer, the lack of air conditioning has significantly restricted their ability to offer events and activities during this time. Be it resolved that council accepts as information a request from Cam Bennett, Arts Center President, requesting a letter supporting their grant application to the Community Foundation for funding to install air conditioning at the Art Center, which would extend the use of the auditorium to the full 12 months of the year, thereby increasing revenue and potentially bringing in up to an additional 3,000 users to events at the Art Center each year. Further be resolved that Council values the Art Center as a hub for creativity, entertainment, and community engagement, and authorizes a letter supporting their grant application for funding to install this much-needed air conditioning at the Arts and Culture venue. Questions or comments regarding this request? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Councillor Bellemare, whereas the Dauphin District Arts Council plays a vital role in fostering arts and culture in our community by providing diverse and vibrant arts, culture, and social programs and entertainment at the Arts Center. We have the same, is this? Oh, this is, sorry. So the resolution is worded exactly the same. I'll just read the final paragraph. Further be resolved that Council values the Art Center as a hub for creativity, entertainment, and community engagement, and authorizes a letter supporting them in their grant application to the Co-op Community Spaces grant program for funding to install the same air conditioning unit as previously read for the foundation. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Just trying to save my voice. Reading stuff. Moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be resolved that Council accepts as information the following invitations from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities to their city's caucus meeting on April the 10th, and from CUPE Manitoba, who is holding their 60th annual convention in Dauphin on April 30th to May the 3rd. Further be resolved that any expenses related to council and senior management attending these events be borne by the city of Dauphin. Questions or comments regarding these invitations? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin. Be resolved that Council accepts as information the following community event notices from Prairie Mountain Health, their community volunteer income tax program, which is being held March the 6th to October 30th, 2024. Assiniboine Community College Parkland Campus Open House, which is being held on March the 14th. West Region Tribal Council having an ID clinic on March the 20th. Prairie Mountain Health having their community wellness fair on March the 25th. The Prairie Mountain Health Healthy Together Now Growing Our Impact event on April the 30th, and Dauphin Community Safety and Wellbeing Survey, which is out and about now from March 11th to June the 28th. Questions or comments regarding these community events? Call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be resolved that Council accepts the information that Council's reports for the meeting of March the 11th. So before we can vote on this motion, we have to hear the reports. So let's start with Councillor Sobering. Where
Thanks.
you go.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's been a relatively quiet couple of weeks since the last City Council meeting. I attended the March 8th Riverside Cemetery meeting. And in between those meetings, I've applied for 3 different grants on behalf of, 2 on behalf of the Handy Van, 1 on behalf of Riverside Cemetery, and just lots of kind of subcommittee meeting work. And so it seems to be the season, springtime, but that is all. So here ends my report.
Deputy Mayor Laughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For me, February 26th, the regular council meeting here at City Hall, and then March 4th, we had that audit and finance committee meeting here at City Hall. Actually, that was on Teams, but I believe Scott was at City Hall for that one. So nonetheless, that's where all the information came from earlier tonight, in case people are wondering. Other than that, it wasn't too much for me. We had those big snowstorms about a week ago, so I had a few meetings that got moved, but wanted to mention the snowstorm and just the great job that the Public Works did with clearing the streets, just looking on social media and just word of mouth throughout the community. A lot of people very appreciative of that, and I am as well. I think in my time in Dauphin, that's one of the best responses to a heavy snowstorm, and not just one heavy snowstorm, two in less than a week. So kudos to everybody over there. And just one other thing I wanted to mention, Dauphin Kings playing their final regular season home game tomorrow against Portage, and they're actually selling season tickets right now for next year. So if you buy at the game tomorrow or the first playoff game, I believe you get entered to win a 55-inch HD TV. So Kings final regular season home game tomorrow, and then on to playoffs in 2 weeks. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Councillor Sticalo. Councillor Sticalo, I pushed my mic before I was finished talking.
Not a
You're
problem.
online,
Thank
so-
you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For myself, February 26th, regular council meeting, and then on February 28th, the rec board meeting. I was in attendance for that as well. I'm sure there's been some talk about the rodeo that's coming to town. That sounds like a really exciting event, something new for Dauphin. So it's gaining a lot of excitement throughout the community so far. So I don't believe tickets have gone on sale yet, but will be shortly, and it should be an exciting time for that. I also want to just echo what Deputy Mayor Laughlin said about the Public Works crew and city staff responding to the snowstorm events. Great response time, and got the community moving very quickly after those events. I'm sure there was some long hours put in, and it's greatly appreciated not only by myself but many community members around Dauphin and visitors alike. So. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bellemare.
Thank you. On February 28th, I attended the Firefighters Appreciation Evening at the Aspen Lounge. And it's a great time to say thank you to our firefighters. The good news is that they're getting more firefighters on board, which is great. And I thought it was really cool because Chief Cam's son hit his 5-year milestone. So father and son had a picture, and it was actually, Tyler is actually a 3rd generation firefighter. So that's pretty cool. And Dan McKay reached 15 years of service. And on the 29th, the leap year, I went to economic development with Martine and his colleague. And one really strong piece of learning for me was the bucket analogy that was used about the money that comes into our community, the bucket through wages and pensions and strong business sales and that sort of thing, and money leaving the bucket, like there's a hole in the bucket. So when people travel or when they shop elsewhere or those kinds of things can take money out of our community, and also what happens to the money in the bucket or in our community while it's there. So that was really an interesting concept. I was at the Riverside Cemetery meeting too, and several files we're moving ahead on. It's now a nonprofit organization, and we've got future plans for new signage and web cemetery updates, and just it's a happening place. And community events this week, Banff Film Festival is coming to Country Fest Cinema on Wednesday night and Thursday night, different programs each night. You can buy your tickets online. You have to go see the films. I mean, people just do really crazy things. Like imagine a guy on a high wire with his drum set and he's drumming over a mountain valley. I mean, I would never do stuff like that, but I can watch people do stuff like that safely in the seat there. So you're also supporting the cinema. It's a fundraiser for the cinema. So if you're available Wednesday and or Thursday, different films each night, please consider going to that. I'd like to say thank you to Deputy City Manager Lisa Gaudette for all her work with the Community Safety and Wellbeing Initiative. We talked about the survey, and that's moving forward, but she's doing a great job keeping us moving forward and has lots of great ideas for next steps. And we mentioned about the snow disappearing. Okay, Thursday night at 9 o'clock, I was on the street and all the snow removal trucks were just around and they were big, and I thought, okay, I'm just getting off the street because they had a mission. They were getting rid of that snow. So thank you. And one other thank you, the Barker School families just donated $1,777. They had a bingo there for their families, and that money was raised, and they've donated it to Mamawee Park. So that's the first school that's donated to the project, and we're just really excited that they thought this was something they wanted to do, and they gave such a generous check. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor Boziak. February 26th, I attended the last regular council meeting. On the 28th, I attended the rec board meeting in the morning, and then the community safety wellbeing meeting in the afternoon. That evening, I was also present at the Firefighters Appreciation Night, and I'd like to also congratulate the award recipients, and also a big thank you to Cam Avery and his entire staff for the excellent service they provide our city. February 29th and March 1st, I took the Community Economic Development Training held in Dauphin at the Rec Center, and I'd like to congratulate Martine on an excellent presentation. It was both informative for me and interesting as well. March 4th, I attended the Finance and Audit Committee team meeting, held. And I just would also like to reiterate what many of the councillors have said about our crews. I had the opportunity to be in Brandon not too long after the storm, and our streets were great compared to theirs. So excellent job, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Ray. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended a regular council meeting on February 26th. On February 27th, I had a lunch meeting with CMHA manager James Wigley, just discussing the homelessness situation and a strategy going forward on that. Later that afternoon, I had a kind of an informal meeting with Steph Matskew of DRCSS to just talk about how we can work together with DRCSS and the school division to promote our facilities and a higher exposure of athletes in school as it relates to sort of our facilities as well, to create some work there. Anyway, that's just a project we'll be working on over the next year. On the 28th, I also attended the Firefighters Appreciation Dinner, and as everyone else had said, really appreciate what Cam and his crew does. I can also say, with respect to our firefighters, in 25 years of police work, I've been in probably 9 different communities working over the years, and I've never seen a fire department as well trained and well prepared as Dauphin's, as far as not having full-time staff. So that's kudos to Cam and his crew. On the 29th, attended Karina's with the mayor to welcome the Indian, what's the word I'm looking for? IRS, residential school, sorry. I got a note here. Can you, IRS welcome with those folks. As you can see, I've written all this down. Attended the vet board meeting here at City Hall at 10 a.m. till noon. 2 hours I'll never get back. No, it wasn't that bad, but and then Lisa and I think chatted that afternoon as part of that animal services program work. We got started. And then on March 7th, it says here I had a meeting with animal control. Oh yeah, animal control officer meeting that did not happen, but I was here. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Daly.
I'll write that up and get it to you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone, for those reports. All I would just like to add is on the weekend, the JV boys basketball team from DRCSS competed in the provincial championships and came away with the silver medal. So that's like kissing your sister when you're in the gold medal game, but coming home with the medal is great for our school. And in particular, for those of you that aren't fully aware, that the AAA category is a little bit different for JVs. And so our JV boys and girls teams are competing with most of the JV schools in the province. And so it's a little different level of competition. So to come away with a bronze or a silver medal is a great accomplishment for them. So kudos to the marshals and the team from DRCSS. And that's it for our reports. So I would like to call for the question then. All those in favor of accepting those reports as presented? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. And then moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Ray, be resolved that council meeting be recessed at 5:55 p.m. All in favor?